In other news, a bill to impose sanctions on Russia and Iran is blocked in the House following overwhelming support for the move in the state. On Tuesday, Texas Congressman Kevin Brady issued a blue slip violation which requires any bill that generates money for the government to originate in the House. The legislation titled Countering Iran's Destabilizing Activities Act was passed by the Senate last week on a 98-2 vote. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson is pushing for more flexible sanctions to maintain constructive dialogue with Russia. Meanwhile, Russia is considering retaliatory sanctions of its own for the Senate's moves against Moscow. One America's Marty Golingen has those details.
The Russian government is not backing down to new sanctions approved by the U.S. Senate this week. A Kremlin spokesman says Moscow is evaluating their options in response to a fresh set of sanctions drafted over Russia's involvement in Ukraine. The spokesman blasted the notion that the sanctions would be lifted only after Russia leaves the occupied area in eastern Ukraine. He said that information is incorrect and inappropriate because Russia is not even in the region. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov condemns the new American sanctions as counterproductive to positive ties with the U.S. and the European Union.
These sanctions do not improve the atmosphere. The sanctions are once again taken on a flat surface. The reference to the situation in Ukraine, in my opinion, causes a smile on all serious observers. Unfortunately, our colleagues in the European Union hide the crafty formula that the sanctions will be lifted as soon as Russia implements the Minsk agreement. We invite our friends in the European Union to read the Minsk agreement once again.
Lavrov also says the anti-Russian rhetoric and demonizing from U.S. politicians only hurts peaceful relations between the two countries.
Therefore, I cannot say anything except regrets about the Russophobic obsession of our American colleagues. It already crosses all lines. Poroshenko cannot fulfill his obligations under the Minsk agreements, sanctions against Russia. There are very complex processes taking place in Syria, and only Russia is to blame, and of course the Assad regime. We can give many examples of when American congressmen do not like some development of events in a region, and they immediately attempt to blame us.
Despite the political tension, the Kremlin did not rule out a meeting between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin at the G20 summit in Germany next month. Marty Golingen, One America News.